Out here at Waterfront Park speaking with Phillies employee, former world champion pitcher Dickie Noles. Dickie, you're currently listed in the Phillies media guide as employee assistant professional. What exactly does that entail? What duties does that job title entail?
Well, it really is about working for the major and minor league players, almost like a former player that's educated in some other areas that can help out in life skills, so to speak, and help them on and off the field if needed. I'm a certified employee assistant professional. At one point, I was studying to be a drug and alcohol counselor, and I was working in the community with the Phillies, and they asked me to go into minor leagues and talk to the kids about life skills, and it kind of escalated from there to becoming an employee assistant professional.
Obviously, fans would remember you best as a relief pitcher on the 1980 World Championship team, first ever World Series championship that the Phillies franchise won. What's it like to be immortalized in team lore in that way?
Well, thank God we won another one, because for a while there we were the only team in the history of an organization, the only team. But now we're the first. We're the first to do it, which is kind of nice. And you don't think about it when you won it, because during that era we thought we was going to win a few more. I mean, 76, 77, 78, they got to the playoffs. We won the World Series in 1980. And then after that, we were very close to going back in 81, but Carlton got beat twice in a short series after the strike. And then lo and behold, it's all the way until 2008 before you win another one. So it was pretty special.
What are some of the fondest memories you have of teammates and kind of playing with those guys throughout that 1980 championship year?
Well, my first year in 79 when I came to the big leagues, I looked around at my locker, and I'm pitching the first day that I walked into a locker room. I walk in, I see my beautiful uniform, and I'm in the big leagues. I finally made it. Big moment of my life. Ever since you're a kid, that's all you ever want to do. And I looked up and I looked around. I see Pete Rose, who in my opinion is a Hall of Famer. Michael Jack Smith, greatest third baseman in the history of baseball, and going back to Pete, probably one of the greatest players ever to play. Steve Carlton, arguably one of the greatest left-handed, if not the greatest left-handed pitcher. And I looked around and I see all these other all-stars and potential Hall of Famers. I'm going, not only am I in the big leagues, I'm on the best friggin' team in baseball. And not only that, I'm playing against a guy who used to put his number on my back. And that night, I'm going out to pitch. And shortly after that, I'm facing another guy I used to imitate all the time, Willie McCovey. And so my first year was a lot of memories about just being on a team with so many talented players. And then, of course, 1980, winning the World Championship, that was just special, because the first one's always special.
You broke into the bigs as a starter in 79, and then you went to the bullpen, and you kind of did more switching back and forth as your career continued with the Cubs and Texas and Cleveland. Did you have a preference for starting or relieving, and did you ever find it difficult to go back and forth?
Well, I liked relieving because you could come to the ballpark every day, but I considered myself a starter. But after the alcoholism and going to treatment for that, it was during that era of baseball, and I ended up tearing up my right knee, and I don't think I ever got an opportunity to start after that, and I take pride in the fact that I did play in the major leagues for 7 years after that, but it was like I was almost written off. And I'd get a chance to start every now and then, and I'd do well, and then have one bad game and go back to the bullpen. So I always considered myself a starter. I really like starting.
This summer you appeared in a Food Network episode of a program called Dinner Impossible. What was that experience like, and just talk a little bit about that?
Well, it was a great experience. Robert Ewing is pretty neat guy. He's a pretty strong guy, but I wish I'd have watched the show like some other guys did before. I'd never seen it since I did the show that morning. I have watched it, and I've seen the one when he was out in the wilderness. He's excellent. But if I would have known more about the show, I probably would have did a little better. But I came to the ballpark that morning. I decided to come late that morning and have breakfast with a friend of mine who was in town, and they're calling me frantically looking for somebody to do it. And so I got there and put my uniform on, went out on the mound, and Robert comes out to the mound, and they looked at me and said, "All right, say your lines." I go, "What lines?" So they had to tell me my lines throughout the whole day. So if I would have known more about the program, what his whole gig was about, I tell you one thing, what I remember most about it was eating the food. The brother can cook.
Yeah.
The food was unbelievable. I haven't had food like that since then.
We're out here today before a Reading Phillies game, and you get to see a lot of these minor leaguers, and there's a couple guys on this squad right now that appeared on that program with you, Justin DeFreitas, Chance Chapman. Those guys included, and the other guys you see throughout the system, what are your impressions of some of these guys, and who do you view as guys that could definitely excel and maybe one day get to the bigs?
Well, that's the great thing about it. That's why I try to tell people, when you're coaching young ball players, God gave you 25 miracle kids, gave you 25 kids, and one of them's a miracle kid. He just don't tell you which one it is. So if you treat them all that way, you just never know who's going to get there. Talent alone is not always the judge. It's heart, desire. I mean, you look at a guy going into Hall of Fame this year by the name of Andre Dawson. if you have his desire and his dedication, I mean, you can go a long way in this game. And of course, he had the talent to go along with it. But you know, we got a shortstop here that should play in the major leagues. I mean, it's easy to say if he hits, and we got some pitchers here that are pretty good. We got some outfitters that are pretty good, and you know, I don't want to say one guy can and one guy can't, because I played at this level. And when I was in Double-A, some of the guys you didn't think were going to get there got there and had 10, 15-year careers, and other guys you thought were going to get there never got there. So, you know, as far as the guys on this club, I like our young catcher. I like some of the pitchers on this club, and third baseman's got a chance. And if you go all the way around the horn, you got a first baseman over there that made the All-Star team that was stuck platooning last year and he's come into his own. So you never know. Once you get to this level, it's up to the individual to go out and perform. If he performs, he can go.
I got one
and
last.
I like that boy you talked about, DeFreitas, too.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I like him myself. You mentioned, this is one last thing for you. You mentioned earlier.
I don't like this guy, though. I don't like him either. But he's got a chance. Cisco's got a chance.
Mike Cisco's walking by and talking a little bit of trash talk there. I got one last thing for you, Dickie. You mentioned this earlier, and you're kind of known to be a substance counselor, and you know, you're a known motivational speaker. Just, you know, what's your drive there, and just talk about helping people the way that you do.
Well, you know, the game of baseball saved my life, and a lot of people think you come into this game, and if everybody could read the Josh Hamilton story, I think you'd learn a lot about addiction and learn a lot about, you know, how tough it is to beat it. And everybody, I don't care who you are, you can go around this stadium and somebody's got it in their family. So it's something that happened in my life, and I saved my life, baseball, but I may have ruined a career according to a lot of people. But I will say this, that the game of baseball saved me, and I'm just trying to give a little bit back.